20 drivers in the field. On the front row, you've got a veteran and you got a 14-year-old rookie who's already won. On the outside for Pabst Racing, Simon Sykes. He's won already this year, got a victory at Sebring as the cars now roll off the grid. Sykes was a driver who's tried to make a move around the outside of Matt Clark for the win. He ended up having some trouble, fell all the way back to 15th. A tough result for Simon Sykes. He needs to bounce back here in the first of 2 races for USF 2000 today. But I'll tell you, this 14-year-old kid, Michael Young, Nikita Johnson out of Gulfport, Florida, was able to win in St. Petersburg, his home race. He was a winner last year at USF Juniors as well. Does a lot of testing between races over in Europe. Nikita Johnson, that number 17, is a name everybody's going to want to know here in USF 2000.
Made his way down that front straightaway with the lead, missed turn 1, had to use the runoff, fell back to 7th, and at the end of the race worked his way all the way back to 3rd. I thought one of the best drives of the afternoon with a mistake, but still kept a cool head and was able to get himself on the podium.
And I think that's the key, Michael, is the fact that at 14 years of age, you think, you know what, maybe you make a mistake early in the race. You have to go through the runoff. Oh, I've lost it. But able to stay focused. You know, on the radio they were telling him, listen, this race is going to get hectic. It's going to get wild. Keep digging. He ends up getting back onto the podium. So he's worked his way up nicely into the championship battle as well. Just 14 years of age. And we may see him potentially running in the USF Pro 2000 category next year. He's a tremendous talent and way more mature for his age than you would expect.
Hard to believe someone 14 years old can have that much poise and confidence and just the maturity to go into a race like that and to fight his way back through, as you said. I can remember what I was doing at 14, and it certainly wasn't as impressive as that.
Exactly right. And listen, you think about this. Now he gets another opportunity to do it again, right? Starting on the pole. He's already made that one mistake. And one thing about Nikita is he'll make that mistake, but he'll learn from it, right? And you don't expect to see that happen again. But we have said this before. This is such a tough place to start on the pole. Yeah, you want the pole position. If you start up front, you normally finish up front. You want the bonus point for starting on the pole. But it's such a long run, Michael, down into that wide and inviting turn number 1. Pretty easy for guys to get runs on you. You know we're going to go 4 or 5 wide into the corner. Chaos could happen for sure. We're getting ready for it, but maybe cooler heads will prevail here today.
Well, it certainly happened yesterday. Jacob Douglas had issues as the field came down. Nikita Johnson will bring them down again today. Field starts to make their way out of turn number 14. Time to go racing here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway with the USF 2000 Series.
20 drivers strong. Side by side coming out of turn 14. It'll be Johnson on the inside of the number 17, the first to punch off. He sets the pace, brings him down. He's on the throttle, and we are green. Racing across the yard of bricks and down to turn number 1. They'll keep it right down to the bottom of the racetrack. Not surprising. Gonna hold that spot. You see right behind him is Lockie Hughes. He'd be more than happy to dive up the inside. Big run around the outside. Look at this move. Is it gonna hold for Danny Dzelski in the number 18. Michael, he gets the job done from the outside. Dzelski, but more contact further back. We got wings all over the racetrack.
Great move by Danny Dzelski. Finished 4th in yesterday's race. Has a power move to the outside of turn number 1. Field now cleanly through turns 5 and 6. As you see, the number 19 wings off.
Scully.
Scully will have to come to pit lane and get that repaired. Field makes their way down into turn number 7.
Tough one for Gordon Scully. Started 14th. You can see them go 2-3 wide down here into turn number 7 as well. That's Matt Clark making a big move to the inside. Another driver going off. That is Avery Towns. He's gone off. He's got to get this thing spun around and back at it. Very luckily for him, though, I would not be surprised if we end up going full course because we do have a couple of wings over in turn number 2. Otherwise, right now, great start from the 3rd row for Danny Dzelski on the outside. Got a big run and was able to come across the bow from left to right to take the lead. Out of turn number 1, Nikita Johnson kind of checked up a little bit, trying to get through cleanly. But Dzelski puts VRD Racing up front, and as I said, not surprising, full course yellow for the damage in turn number 1. Wings all over the place.
I think I just saw... Yeah, here's a replay. I thought I saw Sam Corey coming down pit lane. Here's a replay of the action into turn number 1.
You see them working through here. Look further back. Where are we going to have the contact here? Right there, yeah, checked up. One of the VRD, a couple of VRD cars had to check up behind a D-Force car, and there's just literally nothing you can do. Once the accordion effect like that happens, one guy checked up, and indeed, who's coming down pit lane? You might have been right. That's a couple of VRD cars. That looks like Max Taylor potentially. I don't know if that was Sam Corey or not. No, Corey's still P4.
Corey's out there. Yeah, he was out there. I thought I saw him coming to pit lane.
That's Scully. So that was Scully.
Yep. Scully in the 33,
Max
down in pit
Taylor.
lane, Max Taylor.
Yeah, so Gordon Scully and Max Taylor, the two VRD drivers. Again, they started a little deeper in the field. Taylor started 16th, Scully 14th, so really 7th row, 8th row on the outside trying to get through turn number 1 and 2.
As we're watching all that action and unfold in the incident in turn number 1, Danny Dzelski with the great move. Simon Sykes somewhere down on the north end was able to get back around, so Sykes will be the leader as we go to our first caution of the day.
And this is one thing that will happen. And again, if we have an incident like that early in the lap, we're not immediately going to go yellow. We kind of give them the opportunity to kind of shake things down a bit over the lap. We don't need to go full course until they're coming, out of turn 12 and 13. Everybody hears it on the radio. Gives these drivers a chance to kind of settle things down a bit. Yeah, great start for Danny Dzelski. He was able to take the lead, but the veteran driver Simon Sykes realizes it, makes the move down into turn number 7. Sykes finds himself P1 over Dzelski. It's still a good start for Nikita Johnson. He ends up in 3rd.
Sykes threw away a great opportunity yesterday, so certainly for him to be able to lead these opening laps as we go to caution, 14 to go. Here's a replay of our start of this race. And a great run, as you had said, Danny Dzelski on the outside as we watch. He'll be the car to the outside. There he is, 3 wide going in.
And side by side with Sykes. Sykes sees him coming through the corner. What a great run. And I love that move to the outside for Dzelski. Very aggressive on the outside. Because remember, when you're on the inside as well, you're thinking, okay, I'm on the inside. I got my position. But when you're on the inside, you got to brake earlier because it's a tighter turn around the corner. For Scully, way on the outside, he goes deeper on the braking zone. It's a wider arc coming in. And you're not trying to get to the apex on the outside. You're trying to get to the exit point already. So the apex in the middle of the track. Beautiful move by Dzelski. And then, of course, Simon Sykes, as we said, able to get back by.
And we talk about the 14-year-old Nikita Johnson as we go back to green. Great patience as he is able to set himself up, makes a move to the inside. Nikita Johnson trying to get that second position back into turn number 1.
Tremendous start for Simon Sykes as they went back to green quickly. He was able to get a good jump. And look at this deep move down the inside. Wow, that was a late breaker down into turn number 1 for Dzelski as he tried to see if he could get the job done. Sykes, luckily, there's no contact there, but look at they're lining up behind him. That is Sykes, the Paps car, and then VRD. That is Dzelski, Johnson, and Colry right there, and a good start as well for Matt Clark as he goes up a spot. Matt Clark, I believe, up into P5 now.
Danny Dzelski extremely confident in that move down into turn number 1. That was it almost got around our leader, Simon Sykes.
Big, deep move in, but again, Sykes, the same thing, a wider arc, was able to get the run around and held Dzelski off. Otherwise, the VRD drivers lining up right behind Simon Sykes. This is when they're going to be on the radio. Dan Mitchell will be said, guys, relax. We're looking good here right now, 2, 3, 4. It's a long race. Remember, 15-lapper for these drivers here. No need to get too aggressive over the opening couple laps. Let's settle in and see if we can't pull away a little bit. One driver you see further back, they're kind of closing up on the 33, a Max Taylor potentially. And Max had to come in to get some work done. They got him back out onto the racetrack.
Big loser in the start of this race, Lockie Hughes, who started on the inside of row number 2, I think fell back to the 7th position, trying to work his way back to the front.
Caught me off guard a little bit there. I was like, what? There's a white nose on that car. The only driver really with a white nose and a dark car would be Matt Clark with the scholarship colors, but they put a white nose back on that VRD car. So there's the lead coming in. Look at this battle further back. Lockie Hughes, I believe, getting up into the scrap as well. I think Hughes potentially moving his way up into 3rd. Everybody fighting away. There's the lead for Simon Sykes. Sykes with solid advantage right now. Back down the inside comes Dzelski.
Danny Dzelski, 4th place finisher yesterday on the march today. Trying to not only get a podium, but get a victory. Field makes their way through turns 5 and 6, cleanly through the race down Holman Boulevard into turn number 7. Your leader, Simon Sykes.
Sykes locks up the right front a little bit coming in. The VRD guys going at each other right now. So again, as I said, they've got Lockie Hughes, the Jay Howard driver, in there as well, the current point leader. Lockie having a really good run yesterday. Side-by-side action further back with Elliot Cox as well. He's scrapping it out with George Garciarza and Al Morey. Cox trying to work his way back forward after the disappointment of the contact yesterday. Had a really good qualifying run, P3, and then had that contact with Max Garcia after he went up and over Taylor. Just trying to see if he can't salvage a good finish here. And he's moved his way forward a couple of spots. He started back at 18th. I think Cox now potentially up into 13th. So 5-position improvement already for Cox. Good run thus far early for the Indianapolis driver.
Yeah, good patience for Elliott Cox. Field making their way down the front straightaway, keeping an eye on Lockie Hughes. Closing in on that rear wing is Sam Corey. The field making their way down into turn number 1. Further back in the field, they'll go too wide. And there goes Lockie Hughes to the inside of Corey.
Here comes that scrap, potentially, for the position. Across the line, Sykes was the leader. Johnson second, Dzelski in third, Corey fourth, Hughes fifth. Matt Clark was running in the 6th spot. 7th with Jacob Douglas, 8th Chase Gardner, 9th Ethan Ho, and Zach Ping rounding out the top 10. Ping started in 13th, so a 3-position improvement for him to work his way up now into the top 10. You see all those drivers there. Gardner, Ho, Ping, Papasavas all together. Remember, Papasavas started back at 19th. He's already up into 11th, so a good run there for Evagoras Papasavas for Jay Howard Driver Development, fighting his way back up into the almost into the top 10 now.
Not only he, but as you said, Elliott Cox slowly picking their way through the field. 11 laps to go, 10 to go when they come by this time.
You know, Michael, this is one of the things about this particular racetrack as well. There are lots of overtaking opportunities. Yeah, we got contact deeper in the field. Looks like a couple of drivers from Jay Howard potentially together. We'll see if they're able to continue. That might have been the 97 involved in that incident. That would be Ping potentially. Also the 7 of Al Morey, and I think the 12 of Jameson potentially involved in that. That's just outside the top 10 indeed. Full course yellow for the contact over on the exit of turn number 10. Right where I was trying to set up was the fact that unlike a Barber Motorsports Park where it's so hard to pass, there's a couple of really good opportunities for overtaking here. So drivers can be patient. Apparently not.
Not in this instance. We'll keep an eye on that incident. It happened down into turn number 7 after they got through that left-hander, working their way into turn number 8. They went side by side, and the contact was made.
So we think that is potentially the 7 of Al Morey and the 12 of Jameson. Yeah, those two drivers already falling to the tail of the field. So we've lost Gordon Scully early with the incident. Max Taylor lost his front wing. They were able to get him back onto the racetrack, so he remains on the lead lap. That's actually good for him. I don't think they were able to catch him up either.
Well, I thought they got around him, so I'm looking at Taylor. They did get around him, so I think not only Sykes, but Nikita Johnson got around him.
Here's the replay now. You can see further back. Johnson tries to go to the inside and just drives into the right rear. That was just, he did not have the position, maybe a little overzealous there. Jameson getting into the side of Morey coming through turn number 10. Sad to see that, both those drivers falling down the order. I think they were running 13th and 14th at the time. So obviously, difficult to see that, but it happens. That's what we're talking about. This is junior level racing. They're learning the racecraft, and sometimes you have to learn by making a mistake.
Yeah, it's one of those instances. I think it's tough to get around somebody in turn 10 especially. It's a slower portion of the course. After they get through turn 7, 8, and 9, the speed gets picked up after 10. So potentially I thought, hey, I'm going to get a nice run here, but going too wide there, it's extremely difficult.
They've had to make a mistake. If they've made a mistake in 8 and 9, they're kind of behind it a little bit, and you're getting a really good run, maybe you can tuck to the inside. Otherwise, it's just such a tough place. Like you said, once you get through that corner, there's a lot of exit. You're already rolling on the throttle. And that's what we saw there. Morey had already turned in. He was already back to the throttle. And at that point, Maxwell Jameson just tried to make that move to the inside, and we had left front to right rear contact. Let's reset it for you. Simon Sykes is the leader. It was 1.8 seconds. That advantage goes away. That'll put Nikita Johnson right on his gearbox as we go back to green flag racing soon. Danny Dzelski holding on to 3rd. Lockie Hughes in 4th spot. Matt Clark up into 5th. Sam Corey, who we saw battling up front, back to 6th. Jacob Douglas runs in 7th. Ethan Ho 8th. Chase Gardner in 9th. And Elliott Cox, who started back in 18th, is into the top 10. So the Indianapolis resident doing fantastic here right now.
Interesting that Elliott was behind Papasavas for quite some time. Papasavas and he started in the back of the field, and Elliott was able to get back around Papasavas. Those two have been battling since the beginning of the race. Cox starting in that 18th position, Papasavas in the 19th position. And for those two drivers to get up to 10th and 11th, this caution is very advantageous for them. It'll bring the field back together, and I think allow them both to be able to pick up a lot more positions.
Anytime you start at the back, you're thinking, here's what I need. I need to get a couple spots at the start, then I need a yellow. which they got already, so they were able to get a couple of positions, then get the yellow there. And then I want a couple more yellows, short yellows, because you need time to move forward. But give me a couple of short yellows during this race. Be more than happy to work their way forward. So both those drivers have to be happy right now with 10th and 11th right now. But I guarantee you, we know Cox had the speed, qualified third for race number 1 yesterday, but again had that incident. There's Al Morey coming into pit lane. They'll have a look at that to see if there's any damage. Looking at obviously the right rear. Maybe a little bit, maybe the bodywork a little bit. That's about it. So potentially Al Morey able to get back out onto the racetrack, although he will be down a lap.
Yeah, Maxwell Jamison on pit lane as well.
Simon Sykes looking for the retribution after yesterday. Again, an ill-advised move for Simon. I think as the point leader coming in, he probably would have been wiser to just finish second. But hey, it's the mind of a racer, right? Last lap, you've got big speed, especially coming down the straightaway. He had a huge run on Matt Clark, tried to go to the outside. Matt kind of pushed a little wide at the exit, and they made contact and locked up a bit, went across the grass. Clark was able to finish in the 6th spot. Simon had an issue and fell all the way down into 15th. So I'm sure that when he would look back, it's like, yeah, maybe second would have been better. But, you know, anytime these drivers get a chance to win, especially here, they want to go for that victory.
Well, we see Zach Ping's car sitting there on the exit of turn number 8. They're going to now tow that car back. So
that's a separate incident.
That was a separate incident. So yeah. Zach had been sitting there for a while. He was back in 7, and the other incident unfolded in turn number 10. So a lot of cleanup, and I think what will be interesting on this restart, you have Simon Sykes, Nikita Johnson, Danny Dzelski all hungry. Lockie Hughes, who fell back in the field, has worked his way back to 3rd. And then you've got Elliot Cox and Ivagoras Papasavas 10th and 11th. So we're going to have a battle for the lead, and you've got guys mid-pack who have very fast race cars trying to work their way to the front after this caution ends and we go back to green flag racing.
And the interesting thing is now their mindsets for guys like a Cox or Papasavas is now I can get more. You know, at the start of a race, hey, if we go green to checker through the 15 laps, I'm hoping for top 10. Well, all of a sudden, there's Cox in 10th. Now he's thinking, okay, I can win this. You know, at the very least, I'm going to the podium. So, especially now knowing what kind of a run we're going to have again down into turn number 1 when we do go back racing. So, watch for both Cox and Papasavas to be very aggressive to try to get themselves up to get a couple of more positions here. Matt Clark, of course, 6th yesterday. He had a rough start to the season, but they've got that car dialed in for D-Force Racing. Clark's going to be very aggressive as well. Again, these restarts. You know what we say, caution's precautions. I'm going to hold my breath again when they come down into turn number 1 because it's just, this corner, unlike any in, I think, the circuit, is so inviting because it's so wide coming down that long straightaway. You have a huge toe, a big draft, and as we talked about yesterday, Michael, it funnels down into where you essentially have to be 2 wide. You're 5 wide coming in, 2 wide on the exit, so you really have to be smart and maybe patient in terms of car placement coming through the corner.
And explain to the fans, these cars so nimble, unlike the heavier NTT Indy cars, these USF 2000 cars, these guys can turn quickly and really get themselves into some interesting positions. And when they dive down into turn number 1, you can see them 3-4 wide, and they can all hopefully find their way through.
Indeed, yeah, you can get these cars to rotate pretty quickly. As Michael said, they are very nimble. They a lot of forward bite and the precision of on the front of the car. You can really get the thing to turn. We saw that yesterday with what Jacob Douglas tried to do. He tried to get down to the bottom very quickly to do the over-under, but got up and over the curb and then got a tap from behind. These cars can dart if they need to. It's not a heavy Indy car, as you had said, so you can really dive from the outside and make moves to the apex. We see that happen a lot. So indeed, we could see a little bit of that when we head back into turn number 1. But again, looks like they've been able to get that car of Zach Ping, who was stranded on the outside at turn number 9. I think they've got that moved, and we'll be able to get back at it. Indeed, there you go. Clean run through 7, 8, and 9. Drivers will get back here through, and we'll get things back underway. That was actually, I think, on the outside of 7, potentially. So indeed, Ping's back into the paddock. Couple of drivers issued. Ping and Scully, Jamison, Morey, all those drivers involved. Max Taylor down a lap. So lead lap cars about 15 right now. Back to Lucas Mann, who runs 15th in the number 92. We're going to put lap 8 in the books when we come back around. Eventually, when we go back, it's going to be probably 6 or 7 laps remaining.
Field will make their way through the south end of the course. They make that right-hander into turn number 12, then through turns 13 and 14. We see the pace car begin to peel off. The field will begin to bunch up. We will be going green. Simon Sykes leads Nikita Johnson, Danny Dzelski, Lockie Hughes, and Matt Clark down the front straightaway. We go back to green.
And indeed, the second car in the order as the machine of Max Taylor. That's the driver's a lap back. So the driver's sitting in second right now, but potentially trying to get his lap back. If he gets aggressive and tries to go around, Sykes will hold him off. So right now, Sykes actually has a bit of cushion right now as he's got Max Taylor behind him. That's a lap car. So Johnson runs in second, Dzelski in third. Everybody clean thus far through turns 1 and 2. Here's Matt Clark making a move to the inside. Clark's going to go to the inside of Hughes, I believe. So Clark aggressive as I expected, Michael. They'll work their way through 5 and 6. Down that back straightaway, the second passing opportunity on this restart lap. Big run down Holman Boulevard, one of the longest straightaways on the circuit for these drivers. Look at this defense all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Big move to the bottom for Lockie Hughes.
Yeah, it was an amazing move down into turn number 7 as the field starts to make their way through the south end of the course. Simon Sykes leads the field through, but what a great move. Matt Clark already up to second. Got around Lockie Hughes in turn number 1. He is on the charge.
Fantastic move by Elliott Cox over in turn number 10 as well as he got to the inside of Ethan Ho. So Cox on the move as we know. Big defensive run down there as well into turn number 12. Man, these guys have got their elbows up here on this lap. And again, it's one of those laps where everybody's stuck together. People are going to start jumping on each other. You get hung out to dry on the outside, you've lost momentum. Everybody else wants to try to take advantage of it and see if they can't put you back even more. Cox having a big run here, and he's going to get a big draft coming up the straightaway as well. We'll check him up again coming across the line. Sykes, Hughes, Johnson, Clark, and Corey are top 5. And that is Matt Clark going by Max Taylor. Taylor's got to watch it. He is that lap back. You don't want to get into somebody here when you're a lap down.
Yeah, I misidentified. That was Lockie Hughes getting around Matt Clark, and Lockie has really accelerated through this field. Started 4th on that restart, able to get himself up to 2nd. Simon Sykes checks out, though, about an 8-car length advantage. Near contact through 5 and 6.
Yeah, and that's Max Taylor. He's the driver who's a lap back, right? He just wasn't able to stay out in front of Simon Sykes before that yellow came in. And one of the drivers he was battling with had to go to the right side of the chicane. He's going to have to give that spot up. And again, Simon Sykes, though, has handled a restart. Look at the gap that he has. That's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, Sykes, Hughes, and Johnson. Man on the move right now, though, Elliott Cox. He's got himself up into the 8th position and already trying to go to work here on Jacob Douglas and Danny Dzelski. So Elliott Cox scrapping his way forward here. They put lap number 9 in the books. It'll be 10 down, 5 to go, Michael, next time by the yard of bricks. So Simon Sykes looking to see if he can't come back from that disappointment from yesterday. He comes in here sitting 2nd place in points. Lockie Hughes with 129. 14 back for Simon Sykes. He's doing whatever he can to get himself back closer to the point lead.
Nikita Johnson starting to put a little pressure on Lockie Hughes. Lockie making that move on the north end of the course. We've got a battle mid-pack as they make their way to turn number 1, but keeping our eye on Lockie Hughes.
Look at this scrap here. We're going to go 3 wide. That's Chase Gardner in the middle. Oh, yeah, Ethan Ho comes across the bow. That's the Tana Garciarce right there, too. These guys are scrapping it through turn number 3. Gardner's going to get hung out to dry on the outside, indeed. And he's got his teammate Avery Towns right in there as well. So that's the battle that's right now for 11th, 12th, 13th, and 14th. What scrap.
A case of drivers having a bad restart, falling back, and then trying to pick their way back through.
And like I said, if somebody gets you and you get hung out to dry on the outside, you can never get back to the line because everybody else is trying to get in. You just keep falling backwards because when you get out of the racing line, of course, there's not the grip's not there. You might have the marbles off the tires there. It hasn't been cleaned off in the morning. So when you get offline, you struggle to get back on grip. You struggle to get back in. That's what's happened right now to Chase Gardner. He's gone back a couple of spots. He's got to press the reset button because he has the speed to run inside the top 10, but struggling a little bit here after that restart.
Simon Sykes, your leader. Lockie Hughes, Nikita Johnson, Matt Clark, Sam Corey, yesterday's winner of race number 1, running P5.
Simon Sykes getting the job done right now, 1.1 seconds out of the lead over Lockie Hughes. That is 1st and 2nd in the points. Lockie Hughes 2nd on the racetrack right now, 1st in points by 14. The finish of this race, if it were to finish as it is right now, would most definitely tighten things up. And again, we have one more USF 2000 race still coming.
Elliott Cox starting to close in on the rear wing of Jacob Douglas. That's the battle for that 6th position.
Indeed, Douglas last time by a 127 flat. Cox a 127.1, so holding that position a little bit. everything kind of spread out a little bit here up front. There is Sykes, Hughes, and Johnson. Then the gap back to Matt Clark, P4. And you've got Sam Corey, yesterday's winner, running in the 5th spot. Behind him, Jacob Douglas, the Kiwi, in the number 90. And it's the number 67 drive planning machine of Elliott Cox. Papasavas, who started all the way back at 19th, is up into 8th. An 11 position improvement for Papasavas right now. He wants more, of course. He's scrapping it out right now with Danny Dzelski for 8th position. Ethan Ho there as well. But you got to think, when you start deep in the field like that, again, even a top 10 is a success. Get that done, come back for race number 3.
So Jacob Douglas in that 6th position. That's the closest battle on the circuit right now. It's between Elliott Cox in 7th. Jacob Douglas has that 6th position. They'll work their way through turn number 12. We'll see how that battle tightens up as they make their way through the final couple of turns here at the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Again, the tightest battle on the field, Jacob Douglas and Elliott Cox.
Talk about the movement forward for Elliott Cox and Evagoras Papasavas. Plus 11 for Cox as he's now closing up. That's actually Max Taylor. He's closing up on the lap car of Taylor. We watched him coming up the front straightaway. Plus 11 since the start, but since that restart, we talked about how important the restart was for Cox and Papasavas because they were able to kind of tighten things back up. Cox getting 3 more positions since that restart. Papasavas getting 3 as well. So both those drivers capitalizing as Chase Gardner's into pit lane in the number 95, as is the number 19 of Gordon Scully. They got him back out onto the racetrack with a new rear wing. But an issue for the number 95 of Chase Gardner. It's been an up and down weekend here for Chase Gardner. Just really hasn't had the luck that he needs.
Watching that battle for second start to shape up. Lockie Hughes and Nikita Johnson. Nikita Johnson is there. They worked their way through turn number 10. About a 1 car length advantage. Nikita Johnson's on the charge trying to get that 2nd position back.
And maybe not surprising, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the points, all running in the top 3 right now. It is Simon Sykes 2nd in points, but he's now leading. Remember, Nikita Johnson, if he gets by Lockie Hughes, he's behind Lockie in the points. He wants to get in front of Lockie to close it up a little bit. So the motivation is there for Nikita to potentially make the move here right now.
Elliott Cox got around the lap car of Max Taylor, now trying to get up on that rear wing of Jacob Douglas, has closed that gap ever so slightly, but there's the battle for second as they make their way out of turn number 14. Your leaders, Simon Sykes, then Lockie Hughes and Nikita Johnson. They go down low to the inside of the track, making their way down into turn number 1, a drag race to the entrance of turn number 1.
Big run to the outside for Nikita Johnson. Can he try the over-under coming through the corner where you're down lower? You got to brake earlier to get that car turned around. You can see the huge gap for Simon Sykes. He is loving this right now. Guys, you battle for second. I'm going to check out. And indeed, Nikita Johnson putting a ton of pressure right now on Lockie Hughes for P2. Couple of laps to go. They'll see the white flag this next time by. Danny Dzelski not so lucky. We've talked a lot about guys moving forward. Dzelski has lost 6 positions since the restart, so he's going backwards right now, trying to see if he can't plug the dike right now because he's going to hold your spot, see if he can get a top 10. He's currently running in 9th position.
2 laps remaining. Race number 2 for this USF 2000 series.
Crucial right now, Michael, for Simon Sykes. He needed to be able to get back up front. He got his first ever career USF 2000 win at Sebring back at the end of March. It was huge for him, the release of all that pressure. But this is a guy that does not have the budget to finish the season. We've seen this before with a guy like Miles Rowe. He needs to win. He needs to be up front in the points if he's going to be able to keep finding the money, keep finding the support to move forward. And again, a win here would be huge for him. Another victory on the season, get him closer to the point lead. White flag flying for Simon Sykes in the Pabst Racing number 22. And here's the battle again, coming down the inside of the racetrack, right on the pit wall. Again, that's that battle between Lockie Hughes and Nikita Johnson. They'll work their way down into turn number 1. We're watching this camera through turn 5 and 6, missing that run. I wish we would have got that down in turn number 1, but we'll wait for them to come back around. Here's your leader right now. There's Simon Sykes. And there is Lockie Hughes, who again has been able to hold off. Leaders just working their way onto the back straightaway right now. Coming through turn number 5 and 6. Here's the run down in turn number 7.
That's going to be the maybe last opportunity for Lockie Hughes to hold off Nikita Johnson. Nikita Johnson tries again to the outside, and Lockie Hughes able to hold him off about a half car length. They'll make their way to the slower portions, but Nikita Johnson is there.
He's shown a lot of patience, but sooner or later, he's like, listen, I got to get by you. You're leading the points right now, and you've been running that defensive line. Watch for Nikita Johnson to get very aggressive. Two big opportunities, of course, Michael, turn 1 and turn number 7. White flag flying for Simon Sykes. Just one more lap for him to be able to get through here. Simon Sykes trying to come around out of 13 and 14.
He'll see the checkered flag this time by.
Flag. That's right. This is it. I thought we had one more to go. No, the white flag was for the other drivers. And ladies and gentlemen, Simon Sykes winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He wins race 2 of USF 2000. A huge victory for Simon Sykes to close the championship battle. But hey, Lockie Hughes, second place. Still another strong run for the Aussie, able to hold off Nikita Johnson.
One of the most impressive runs I've seen this weekend, and just Lockie Hughes able to hold off Nikita Johnson because Nikita was so good, and it was that restart that Lockie had. He started in the 5th position, able to work his way around Matt Clark, dived in underneath Nikita Johnson and was able to hold him off for the remainder of the race. So a power move and a great job. But how about Simon Sykes from yesterday to today, the disappointment of yesterday, and able to come back victorious today?
You know, and again, you sleep on it overnight, you sit down. He's a veteran driver. Again, we're not talking about a 14 or a 15-year-old here. Simon's been around for a couple of years here in USF 2000. He's just never had a chance to run a full season, number one, neither with a top-tier team. Pabst Racing, of course, one of the juggernauts in this program, almost won the championship last year as well. So fantastic run for Simon Sykes. He needed that in a big way. Hughes able to solidify still. A good second-place finish for him. Nikita Johnson back on the podium again. Once again, back-to-back podiums for Nikita Johnson. Matt Clark in the 4th spot. Yesterday's winner, Sam Corey, in 5th. Checker flag flying for the remainder of the drivers, and we talked a lot about these guys. Elliot Cox, Michael, started 18th. He goes up to 8th, 10 position improvement. Papa Savas able to get by Cox on the last lap. He goes from 19th up to 7th. 12-spot improvement for Papa Savas, and he's going to be able to use that when we go back racing here around the noon hour for race number 3.
Yeah, once Elliot Cox was able to get around Max Taylor, he kind of stalled out, and Papa Savas was able to take advantage of that and get around him. A great run for both of those drivers, so there's nothing to be ashamed of to come from 18th to 8th for Cox and then 19th to 7th for Papa Savas.
Yeah, and you brought the car home. You're going to roll it back into the paddock. They're going to get it on the pad. They're going to go do some work on it because, again, remember, we're a pretty quick turnaround right now getting things going. 8:30 right now. They're going to be probably back on the grid at about 11:30, so about 3 hours from now. And for drivers who had potential trouble in that race, they're going to have to get those cars repaired, get them back out for race number 3 of this triple header. But the bottom line is, for Simon Sykes, he is not only just a USF 2000 winner now, his 2nd victory, and now a winner at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
That's something right there. As you see, the 22 of Simon Sykes brings that car just across the yard of bricks, and we will do some celebrating momentarily with our top 3 finishers, Nikita Johnson, Lockie Hughes, and there you see the winner, Simon Sykes, climbing from that machine.
You know, Michael, he just has to keep winning, and that's the thing. The emotion that he's going to have every time he gets out of the car after a victory, because he knows he doesn't have the money yet to go to the Carb Night Classic at IRP in a couple of weeks. Then from there, it's Road America, Mid-Ohio, Toronto. It costs a lot of money to do this, and he's doing whatever he can to find the partners to keep him going. And when you're P1 and you're the point leader, normally someone's going to step up because you don't want to see the point leader going away. This is huge right now for Simon Sykes.
It certainly makes the money a little easier to come by when you're winning races. And for Simon, from yesterday's disappointment to today, I think shows the maturation of that young driver and is able to ability to put that behind him and come out today. He led was on the outside of row number 1, but led most of this race. Once he got out front, he really checked out and just controlled the entire 15-lapper.
Here's your unofficial results. Simon Sykes with the win. Lockie Hughes in 2nd. Nikita Johnson 3rd. Matt Clark in 4th. Sam Corey 5th. Jacob Douglas a good run to 6th. Evagoras Papasavas in 7th. Elliot Cox 8th. Both those drivers coming from the tail of the field. Danny Dzelski holding on to 9th. George Garcia in 10th spot. Ethan Ho and Max Garcia capping off the top 12. Let's head down now. Georgia Henneberry standing by with our race winner.
Simon Sykes is victorious. That smile is contagious. How huge is this win for you?
It's amazing. We had a rough day yesterday. We've had the pace all weekend, so to come out top in the 2nd race, recover some points, it puts us in a really good position going forward. And obviously couldn't have done it without Pabst Racing. The car's on rails. I couldn't ask for anything more perfect. The whole team was on it this weekend, and we got one more race later, so we'll try and go get another win.
And to do it at a place like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, how incredible is that?
It's truly amazing. I love this place. It's the place I've grown up wanting to race at. I was able to win the runoffs here a few years ago, but the goal was always to win it in the USF Pro Championships on the ladder to IndyCar. So to finally do it in one of these cars is amazing, and I really can't thank my whole team enough.
Simon Sykes is victorious once again in the series. Guys?
Here in race number 2, Nikita Johnson. Mai Cheng going to help us out, as I said, to provide our awards here. Nikita on the podium yesterday, 3rd place in points coming into the day. He'll be 3rd as well, leaving this race with still one more USF 2000 event to go. Race number 3 of the triple header right around the noon hour today. But a great run for the 14-year-old. Coming home in 2nd spot, the point leader coming into the day, and he'll hold that point lead for J. Howard Driver Development. P2 today, Lockie Hughes, finishing 2nd. In race number 2, he'll be going for the race win in race 3, and Mai will bring her back out here again with the 2nd place trophy for Lockie. He started 5th at that restart and worked his way forward. A very impressive run from the restart to get up here onto the podium in 2nd. And again, holding on to that point lead, the young Australian, very impressive here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. One more spot on the podium, though. This driver's won here before in the SCCA National Championship runoffs, but to get it done here at USF 2000, I think even better. Ladies and gentlemen, the winner here in race number 2, Simon Sykes for Pabst Racing. Simon, come down here with me real quick. We'll do a quick little interview. I know you talked to Georgia, but you said it there. You've won here before at the runoffs, but to be able to win here right now, closing that championship gap up, huge.
It means a lot. It was definitely a rough day yesterday. I heard a little bit in the points, so it was a tough night. But to come back and rebound like this means the world to me and the team. Pabst Racing is amazing, and welcoming a new sponsor this weekend. Big Check Race fans, I can't thank them enough for coming out. So all the support that got me here, it was a lot. I had to put a group fund me. It was a GoFundMe to get here. It was stressful to make it. So I'm just so happy we could come out with a high note before race 3.
Well done. Get on top of that podium. We'll get the winner's trophy here from Mai Cheng. And again, he said it right there, folks. This is the driver here who does not have the budget to finish the season. He is doing everything he can to make sure he gets to each and every one of these USF 2000 races. He'll be doing the same thing to get to the Carb Night Classic event, the Freedom 75 at Indianapolis Raceway Park in a couple of weeks. He has the talent to do it, a young American that could go all the way. It's just trying to find the funding that you need, the partnership, the investors to be able to do it. Simon Sykes, folks, on top of the podium. Race number 2 for USF 2000 in the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Indianapolis. A tremendous run for him. Simon Sykes with the victory. Lockie Hughes holding on to the point lead in 2nd, and Nikita Johnson back on the podium once again. These drivers, not surprisingly, are 1st, 2nd, and 3rd in the points as well. Hughes, Sykes, and Johnson, top 3 in the championship standings right now, with another race still to go here on the weekend. From here, as I said, we head to the Indianapolis Raceway Park for the Carb Night Classic Freedom 75 for these drivers. The USF Pro 2000 drivers will be there as well for the Freedom 90. We've had some great racing on that 5/8 mile oval, all part, of course, of the month of May here in the Indianapolis 500 weekend. These young drivers will have to do it all over one more time. As I said, they'll get back to the paddock a couple hours. They'll be back in the cars and on the hot grid getting set to go. One more race for USF 2000. And as we said, we'll be rolling the drivers in USF Pro 2000 out here momentarily, folks, as they have their 2nd race of a doubleheader coming up as well. But we'll cap things off here from Victory Lane. The guy you see on the big board spraying that champagne, the winner in USF 2000 Race 2, Simon Sykes.